couple of weeks ago, I was at the grocery store and I was watching a lady that was picking out some plantains when finally she said, "Hey, do you know anything about these?" And I said, "Yes. When do you want to cook it?" She said tonight. She thought this was the way to go. It was firm, it felt right, but this one just looked a little too ugly. And this one, oh no, she said. Well, actually, these two are closer to being ready to eat. So we're talking plantains, helping you decide on which one to pick and how to prepare it, coming up on Culinary Nunnsense. When I do my grocery shopping, I always start in the produce area. I love the smells and colors, so that's the first place I go to. And it was there that the lady that I ran into was trying to figure out what is a ripe plantain. She had never made one, but she's seen it done, and so she wanted to do it. And I was like, "Ooh, this is a good idea for Culinary Nunnsense." So I showed her this, and I said, "This, as pretty as it is, as green as it is, just isn't ready to go." Number one, they're really firm, and you can just tell that this thing isn't ready. If you did cook it, it would come out more like a potato. The next one, it has some color. Now, if this was a banana, you would be thinking, all right, this is almost ready for banana bread or maybe even some banana ice cream that we've done here on Culinary Nunnsense. But nope, that one's still not ripe enough either. They really got to get to where they're looking like you would almost want to discard them. So where they start to get some big brown splotches. Also, if you see with my thumb here, I can just start to push into it, and you know you're not pushing just through the skin, you're actually pushing into the meat. And then here, this one, the sugar's fully developed. Some of it we may have to get rid of, but this one really is going to be the good one. So what do? Well, first you get yourself some oil. Something else I like to do with them is I like to cut them on the bias, which is basically just cutting it at a little bit of an angle. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. It allows you, when you flatten them out some, that they are a little bit longer, often like the way you see them in a restaurant. Just by giving a little squish here, they kind of flatten out a little bit, and it makes it to where they cook all the way through. The one here that's really soft is even easier, and we'll cut that one here on the bias the same way. You see just how easy that knife goes through. It's like it's butter. And this really will flatten out quite easily, all the way through. You've probably heard that salt makes things sweeter, and I think the same rule applies here to the plantains. Just a light sprinkle on each piece here with some kosher salt. We don't have to get crazy with it, and that's going to help to enhance some of that sweetness. And then this is the easy part. From here into some oil that's good and hot. We're going to start with the ones that are really ripe. If what you want to hear is the sizzle. You don't want it so hot that this oil is already smoking, but you do want it hot enough that when these hit the pan, they sizzle and bubbles start coming up from all the way around it. They have a lot of sugar content here, so they burn really quickly. That's why you want to make sure you've got a good moderate to high heat in the pan. And there it is, the sizzle that we're looking for. And don't overcrowd the pan, because it will knock down the heat, and then you're going to end up having plantains that are basically swimming in oil. Now, if you get the oil hot enough when you put these in, it keeps it from sticking to the bottom. One of the ways you can tell that they're ready to turn, if you look right along the bottom edge here, you can see that it's already starting to turn brown. If you give it a little rotation, oh yeah, that is some caramelization without carbonization. There's a difference. Caramelization is that beautiful brown like caramel. Carbonization, well, it's usually black, and that means you burned it. It happens. There's a lot of sugar in these. If you do burn one, yeah, save it for the dogs. And there you go, the finished dish when it comes to sweet plantains. This is what you want. You don't want green. Green in this case does not mean go. As a matter of fact, this isn't even ready to go yet. You want one of the ugliest, brownest plantains that you can find in order to get something, number one, that's going to be really soft in the middle and incredibly, decadently sweet. Now, I showed you the pan-sear method, just with a simple saute. You can also do these if you have one of those Fry Daddy type things. You can do it. It does take a little less time, and it caramelizes all over, which I have to admit I really like. But either way, if you avoid the green and go for the ugliest one that you can find, I know when you put a little bit of oil and some heat to your plantain, maybe as a side dish or an anytime dish, you two will be saying there is none better.